You know something's gone wrong when your lawyer has to physically intervene, as I'm going to play for you here in a second, has to lunge towards the microphones to prevent their client from sabotaging himself. And that's what I want to play as it pertains to Rudy Giuliani, former lawyer for Trump, former New York City mayor. And while he tries desperately to hold on to the New York City mayor legacy, that has been destroyed as it's been replaced with his election lies, an attempt to steal the election back in 2020. And while Trump is escaping accountability, I'll say for the time being, on his attempt to interfere with our election in 2020, since we've now learned cases are being dropped because he's going to be president, which is, yes, mind-blowing and enraging, but we charge forward from that thought to get to another enraging thought, which is Rudy still denying that he defamed the women that it's been found that he defamed and that he's having to pay millions and millions and millions of dollars to. And at a press conference regarding this, he gets... this is crazy. He gets asked, hey, do you regret defaming the election workers that you made up conspiracy theories about to justify Trump's election lies in 2020? You ruined their life, threatened their safety, defamed them and their family. Are you regretful? And instead of starting off with, I didn't defame them, Rudy goes, nah, I'm not regretful for that.
Any regrets about defaming Ruby Freeman and Shane Austin?
No! I did not.
Again, laugh so we don't cry. What is that? Do you regret murdering this person? No, not at all. I mean, I didn't murder them. Do you regret defaming the election workers? Nah, not at all.
Any regrets about defaming Ruby Freeman and Shane Austin?
No!
Also, what is this? No! Very interesting.
Any regrets about defaming Ruby Freeman and Shane Austin?
No! I did not. First of all, I didn't defame him. I did not defame him.
That's on appeal, my friend.
So,
May I just make a couple of comments?
Mr. Can I just ask?
Let's keep some perspective.
that's,
Everything that's
news.
been ordered, everything that's been ordered today will.
Oh, Rudy. Podcast listeners, you can't see this. This is the look of a man whose life has fallen apart because he gave it to Trump, who doesn't give one single damn about him anymore.
Everything that's been ordered today will. Win reversal.
Okay, so he's saying stuff. I can't hear what he's saying, but he's saying stuff about how we're appealing this or whatever. Quick reporting before getting back to it. NBC News, judge blasts Rudy Giuliani's farcical excuse for failing to turn over assets in defamation case. And listen to this. A federal judge chastised Rudy Giuliani Thursday for offering a farcical explanation of why he hasn't complied with a court order to turn over valuables to former Georgia election workers he defamed after the 2020 presidential election presidential campaign. Because, as I'm sure you're aware, if you have this huge defamation judgment against you, he now owes these election workers money, but his life has fallen apart so much that he doesn't have the money, so he has to then hand over assets. U.S. District Judge Louis Lehman made the remark in a New York courtroom after an attorney for Giuliani, the former mayor of New York, claimed he wasn't sure where some of his belongings are. And the judge said, the notion that your client doesn't have any knowledge of where his assets are located is farcical. Which is a crazy defense. I don't know why I can't find my expensive stuff. Sorry. You can't take it if I can't find it. Goodness. At another moment in this press conference, Rudy said this.
I argued the case for Donald J. Trump because I believed it. He's entitled to have lawyers that believe in him. That was taken away from him. And someday your rights may be taken away from you if you continue to let this go on. I think the American people spoke. They heard all about these trials, like the stupid trial he had here in New York, 2 stupid trials. Judge Mershon and Judge Inga, whatever his name is. Those weren't trials. I told you I've been a lawyer for 51 years, and I'm one of the best.
No, you're not. You lost all the cases for Trump. I'm one of the best. You came in and they said, "Are you alleging evidence of fraud?" And you went, "No."
Those cases are a mockery of American justice. And he was put through that. All those facts were litigated in front of the American people. They were all political trials, and a political verdict has been rendered, and very decisively. That was all a bunch of political harassment. Well, so is my case, and the other 2 where they want to put me in jail. And they can have all my property, but they're not going to get me to back off on what I believe in. I believe the election in 2020 was fixed, and I think I can prove it, and I think I was prevented from proving it because of the way in which they organized it in key, crooked Democratic cities, and I...
Oh gosh. So every time that he goes out for these press conferences, he's technically the boss of these lawyers. So there's this eternal struggle where they're going, don't do it. Please don't defame them again. And then he does it. And it just puts him in more jeopardy. But there's so much there. And I'm trying for all of you. I'm trying not to bring rage as much to this because it's stressful to listen to, I know. But what do you mean the 2020 election was rigged? Their argument is that when Trump was president, when Trump was the most powerful person in the world, he wasn't able to prevent the election from being rigged by Biden, who was a private citizen at the time in 2020, okay? And that then 4 years passed by and they couldn't bring forward a shred of evidence of it. But that somehow now Trump being the private citizen and Biden being the most powerful person in the world, Biden this time wasn't able to rig it and Trump was able to stop it from being rigged. It is disturbing how uninformed too many people are because they fall for even Rudy when he argues these things. There's no mea culpa. There's no apology from people who spent years telling us Democrats are so powerful, the deep state is so powerful, and they would never allow Trump to be president again. That's why they rigged everything. They rigged it from him. After 2016, they realized they had to figure out how to rig elections so that they could never get Trump into power again, and then Trump wins an electoral landslide. Just kidding. I don't know. Joe Rogan going, well, turns out, in one of our segments, the voting works. It's not funny. It is not funny. You causing a total debacle and a physical lack of safety for these election workers who were just doing their civic duty. That's not funny, Rudy. You bringing one bogus case after another, being a part of a group of people who were trying to block the peaceful transfer of power with things like the illegal fake elector scheme, not funny. And while Trump is not going to be held accountable in the foreseeable future, maybe, probably ever, for that attack on our democracy, because our Department of Justice dragged their feet. No, they weren't weaponizing it to go after Trump. If it was politicized in Trump's favor because they took forever because they were afraid. And so then the American people didn't get, as Rudy Giuliani said, this litigated before them, before the election. They didn't see the evidence brought forward of election interference that we've been talking about for so long. And maybe if those trials had completed, the American people also wouldn't have cared because their misunderstanding of the economic situation and them blaming things that weren't to blame for the very real economic pain people are feeling. would have caused them to look past the most foundational part of our entire process? Maybe so. But we still should have seen those before. And at least the Giulianis, if the world made any sense, would be held accountable. This case seems to be one example of that. I'll leave it there on this one. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Get the bonus show and become a member by clicking that join button below.